All right. I am super, super excited for today's guest, Hatem Diab, managing partner and co-founder of Gerber Kawasaki. How you doing, Hatem?
I am great. Good to see you, Austin. Thank you for having me on, man.
Oh my gosh. Of all of your different media appearances, I'm so glad you, man. You are the man. A little bit of a disclaimer. Hatem and I know each other in the real world, which is awesome. And I'm excited for him to share his story as well as some of the areas of his business and how he structures it that really helps him continue to have such a winning organization.
Yeah.
But why don't we start with, Hatem, like, who are you outside of, managing partner of this great wealth management firm? Who are you? What makes you tick? And introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, first of all, congrats on starting this new venture. I'm really excited to listen in and really kind of. I know you have a list of awesome founders and leaders that you're going to be interviewing. So I can't wait to listen in. I moved to the States when I was 18 years old. I'm half Tunisian, half French. And I moved to the States to go to college, initially to University of Washington in Seattle. And then I couldn't take the reins, so I ended up graduating from Cal State LA. Um, and I got into finance because my degree was in finance and international business. I loved the stock market. I always loved Wall Street. I was always excited about really watching the Wall Street movie and seeing all the 80s and the glitz that comes with being in finance. And what happened is in 2006 or so, 2005, I met my current business partner, who's Danilo, who's a Brazilian. And he was in wealth management, and he kind of like introduced me to the world of wealth management. He was very successful at the time, and he was about my same age as me. And I just kind of found a nick for it, and and it's kind of it's really cool because it allows you to basically be someone who can use your brain and your mental kind of abilities for math and numbers and markets, but also really about people, about building relationships and being able to help people get to goals and accomplish things. So really kind of does two things that usually don't come together. So I was really attracted to it.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember when I was in undergrad, I had a friend, and he was explaining how his uncle had just he always knew a guy. Like he had a guy for this. Like I want to be one of those people when people oh, I know a guy who does this. I know, and I feel like you're that person. Like you have so many relationships. How
It sounds wild. I have a guy. I got a guy. uh,
so um it so so how do you structure having all of those different relationships?
um, our business is about relationships in general. We just, we first of all, we're lucky to be where we are, which is Santa Monica, which I think of somewhat sometimes as the center of the universe. There is so many different businesses, different industry that come here. You got the entertainment business, the tech business, the finance business, all together. There's a lot of people here, and us being in the middle of this area, I think, and also providing good service, providing good, valuable service, being very useful to a lot of people all the time, and not really asking for anything back, right? I think the reality of I think our success as a firm, my success as a person, is I'm always willing to help. I'm always willing to put myself out there. If I can help in any ways, I'm going to do it. And I think that comes back in many ways.
Well, so tell me about the growth trajectory of your company. When did you found it, and how did you grow it to where it is today?
Um, so me and my partners, we had the pleasure and the luxury of going through the financial crises, working for AIG, which was basically the eye of the storm. So basically, we've seen the world kind of crumble around us then. And that really kind of really drove us to start Gerber Kawasaki. Ross, Danilo, myself, Matt. We just knew we could do it better. You know, we saw that the financial industry was just fretted with conflicts of interest and misaligned, you know, perceptions and incentives and so forth, right? So we kind of saw what you're not supposed to do. And that really drove the idea for Gerber Kawasaki, which was started in 2010. And really the whole premise at the time was like, listen, let's align our interests with our clients' interests. So the incentives will be aligned, so we don't have any issues there. And then really let's go back to investing assets, investing money, being a wealth management, but also an investment management firm, and investing in things that people are excited about, like clean energy, innovation, technology, right? And I think those two things together at the right time really kind of struck the right chord and really helped us to grow to the firm that we are today.
Yeah, there's something to be said about emulating behaviors you don't want to have. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like when you're around somebody, you're like, wow, that person's a jerk. I sometimes sound like that. Now that I see it like that, I'm not going to talk like that.
100%.
So being able to do that with a business is really cool.
It's funny. It's even more than that. Like we people that we thought were very, very smart, you know, when that financial crisis happened, we realized it was just all smoke screens. It was just bullshit. Yeah, can I say bullshit here? I can say bullshit.
Definitely say bullshit as many times as you want.
So I think really those are the lessons that really kind of stayed with us. It's like, hey, listen, these guys actually pretend like they know what they're doing, but they're really not. So really allowed us to get the strength to like, hey, we actually can do this and we can do it better. So that was, I think, probably one of the biggest lessons for me.
Okay. So I talked to a lot of different, C-suites and founders, and, you know, I feel like people a lot of times will talk about, well, you know, I work with my business partner, we do this or that. You've got more than one business partner. How do you kind of structure your leadership team and balance all the fun different personalities that I'm sure come with it?
Well, listen, like any relationships, right? You got to work at it, right? One of our partners said all the time, like if I wanted to get a bunch of yes people around me, you know, I can't even say that here. But you know, the reality is we check each other. You know, I think there is trust and respect at the kind of the initial layer. And then after that, we disagree on things, you know. We don't disagree on the big things. Like we all have, you know, the same kind of big ideas, the same values, which is really kind of the most important thing, I think. And then after that, we disagree on the, you know, the processes and the things. And sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, you know, and I think that's kind of part of it. We try not to take it home, right? If I lose today, you know, I try to move on and make it, you know, maybe a learning experience for me, and then I'll come back tomorrow with maybe a better idea. So I think really that kind of having that open dialogue and open forum for us to really discuss and the different things can be very, very positive.
Yeah, it's like you share the vision, you share the values. How you fulfill the vision and get there, that's where you get kind of do a lot of, let's say, conflict resolution. Perfect answer, right?
100%. And, you know, listen, I think that also extends to not just partners. I think some of our biggest ideas or some of our biggest successes came from newer or younger employees in the firm. I think creating a culture or an entity where everyone has an input has really benefited us quite a bit. You know, I can think of, like, you know, when Facebook just came out, dating myself, right? 2010,
I think it rolled out to universities in like 2004, and by like 2010 became like the
Right. It became a thing, right? Right. So we're financial services, right? Like nothing happens fast in financial services, right? Some of the younger employees back then, like, hey, listen, you got to get on Facebook. You got to start doing things. You got to start doing some content there, and that really helped us get beyond your traditional financial media, financial. So really kind of opening our eyes to what's around us and listening to younger people really kind of helped us also do things that just other people don't do.
Yeah. So does that mean that we can find you on TikTok now?
You cannot find me on TikTok because it's Chinese owned, but Gerber Kawasaki has a TikTok account. And I think actually who used to be one of our interns and now heads our marketing department, has a very, very robust TikTok following. So you can find Mia on TikTok. And I think it's pretty awesome.
And you know what's interesting is I talk to a lot of different companies about social media, and everybody, they hear like a success story and they're like, hey, can you just emulate this for me? And I think that you guys use social media in a really great way, and it's become a really big driver of your business. Can you talk a little bit on how social media has been able to help you guys get a lot of attention in the industry and to be able to grow where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's two ways. One is you got to talk to your clients. Our clients are people, right? You got to talk to them where they are, right? And all of us are in social media somehow, some more than others, and some at different places and so forth, right? So for us, is really to kind of get our message no matter where our clients are, right? And then two is being authentic. I think really staying true to who we are. We are a very, very successful business. We're very, buttoned up and experts in many, many things. But at the end of the day, we're people, right? And people want to work with people and want to see what we do, our vacations and things that we do. So we really try to share our lives and that we are real people just like them. And I think that really resonates with a ton of people, because if you look at most financial media, financial stuff is very stale, very regimented. And this really doesn't make a lot of sense, because I think in this new world or lately, this kind of social commerce, people want they want to do business with people that they kind of see, like they kind of understand and see who they are and really understand who they are.
Okay. So talk to me. I don't want you to spill any trade secrets, but if I want to hear, somebody in your target market and I sit down with you, how do you structure that engagement? And then how do you help that person, create the right path for them? Do you start with like a general framework? Is it kind of a custom solution for each person?
Yeah. So we have, like, it starts with something called a discovery meeting. So it's basically, it's a first date. We get to know each other, right? So really about asking as many questions, right? Gerber Kawasaki doesn't sell anything. We're in the business of servicing our clients by providing financial planning, right? So the idea is really to understand our clients, understand their goals, their aspiration, how they feel about money, what they want to get to. And that's different for a lot of people, right? So we have a process whereby we ask a lot of questions, get clients to talk to us, a lot of open-ended questions, so we can really get deeper into what clients want, need, and how they feel towards money, what ticks them. And then based on that, we go back and kind of create a plan that is customized to each client based on those needs.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of having like a general base understanding, and then that service mind of listen, analyze, and then be able to create that plan that that will make the customer go, oh, good, they were listening to me.
Yeah, nobody wants to get sold things, right? Like, and the people know when they're getting sold things, right? So I think what we provide, right, is pretty much everyone needs our service. It just depending on how extensive and how complex things are or can be. Our job is to make sure that we understand the level of complexity or the level of need and just really distill those things. A lot of people also are kind of afraid of money, right? Like, they eat, it's very emotional. maybe some very successful people don't know very simple concepts sometimes, right? So our job is really to kind of distill and analyze a lot of these things and make them more palpable, make them simpler to understand. And if we do that very well, we can build really, really long-term relationships.
So speaking of relationships, I feel like everybody wants to be really good in their relationships, right? Whether it's with a life partner or a child or client. What are some tips people could use to be able to have, let's call it, more proactive relationships? Because I do feel like the more proactive you are in a relationship, the more that you're giving to that relationship, which in turn, builds a bond in the relationship.
Honestly, listening is really the most important thing, right? I cannot be proactive if I don't know what you want, right? Oftentimes, unfortunately, people listen, but they're thinking about what they're gonna say, right? They're not really fully listening. They're just listening for what they're gonna say. What we try to do is try to teach our advisors and employees to really listen and see where the conversation goes, right? That works in my relationship at home too, right? If I don't listen to my wife, she knows it. And, she's like, you're not listening to me right now, So I think that's one thing. Two is not being selfish, right? Like, and by saying not being selfish is always kind of putting yourself in the other person's shoes, right? If I was in that person's shoes, could be my wife, could be my client, my friend, my employee, my partner, like how would I perceive that comment? How is that comment gonna make me feel, right? I think that's really important to do that oftentimes. And we can't do it all the time, but if you're aware and really be present for that, you can I think you can become a much better communicator.
Okay. So something I'm always interested in is like, looking back, right? When we all start companies, we have the best ideas, we try and use the best tools, and then at some point we grow and we look back and we go, oh my gosh, how do we ever get by with those? So think about like where you are today versus when you guys started the business. What are some tools that you've kind of evolved into or really been able to use to help either grow or maintain great relationships with all of your clients, particularly your tech stack? What technology?
Well, first of all, we are talking in the studio that we built in Santa Monica, inside the office. So I don't know of many investment firms that have media studios where we can shoot content, we can do interviews. We have Alex here, who's basically this video maven that's really helps us kind of all look good and sound good and so forth, and he's a lovely person to be with, and he comes from the entertainment business, right? So I think kind of melding different industries is really awesome. We've embraced software a long time ago, right? We're not a tech company, but we have a ton of ways to really manage our properties, our tech, communication. We have a team of 4 or 5 people who help us manage all those things, from CRM to ways to contact our clients, to tools to manage a lot of accounts electronically, to we had to build a lot of things in-house to kind of do it the way that we wanted to do it. And some of which we failed miserably, like our Guru Kawasaki app that is still working on, and some of which internally that have worked out really, really well. So it's just I think for us, we knew that we needed to scale by using technology. So we never were afraid of doing it and trying things and spending money. And thankfully, being in LA and working with a lot of people in technology, we have access to a lot of resources. So
yeah, I mean, it's cool. You're like the cool hip Hollywood wealth management company with your own studio and real producers. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, my partner Ross thinks he's an influencer. So
Oh, okay. Right. Um, so, tell me the difference when it comes to technology of when you're deciding to build versus customize. You said CRM. You guys are your Salesforce house, right?
yeah.
So where do you try and build and integrate within Salesforce versus just, you know what, we have this specific thing that we need to build it as a standalone, and and this is what's going to solve our problems. How do you kind of figure out that whole process?
Everyone uses Salesforce. It is actually something called Salesforce Financial Cloud that is designed for financial services firm, but it wasn't really customized. Didn't have enough customization for us. So we had to go out there, we found some Salesforce customizers, whatever they call them, and really we had to spend some dough. We had to spend some money to really be able to make it the way that we really wanted to. And it took a year. Like it's not something that you do overnight. Like these things are very complex. And then we had to get buy-in internally for people to start using them, right? So the tools have to be, good, where the efficiencies that they provide are meaningful enough for people to change the way that they do things, right? So I think that's really the idea, is like how much better is this going to be than what you're doing right now? And can we really communicate that very well? And I think that really what drove a lot of the software. There's some stuff that a lot of other companies that use that we tried it, and I'm like, actually, it's just making my life harder. I just have to use a system just to add stuff, but the output doesn't really justify the work. So just really, does it make my life better, more efficient, and help me scale? Those are the things that we really look at.
Gotcha. Yeah. I love what you said about adoption, right? It's the hardest part. It's, even if the tools do work perfectly, so many times people don't want to utilize them, especially salespeople. What do they want to do? They want to talk.
Yeah.
They don't want to put anything in a CRM. I've noticed that, there's a lot of tools out there make it easy to just talk into your CRM from your phone. So you can get those notes from the sales guy or another, right? That's cool. So can we talk a little bit about like just the market and what's going on here? I mean, this is early 2024. Can I get a broad outlook for you for the year? Can we kind of?
Yeah, I'd love that. That's what we do.
I just want to know what you're allowed to talk about publicly.
we can say whatever we want. No, I mean, I think we're coming off a very, very strong year. The S&P was up 23% last year. Very, very strong showing. The NASDAQ almost 40%. NASDAQ is mostly tech companies, which is what we invest in mostly. So it's been a really, really good year for us. But it's been a good year, especially because markets were about expectations. Last year in January, everyone expected the economy to go into recession, things to be really tough and so forth. And that just really hasn't materialized. Things did not turn out as bad as things expected them. So that really helped, push some positive, the economy is actually strong, earnings are strong. So there's a lot of positive momentum that people did not expect. And that's going to probably carry into next year, right? Or this year, 2024. We have an election. Obviously, there's elections all over the world, actually. So we don't want to get political here, but, it's elections in general. You want to say something?
It's a factor. I mean, people talk about it. It is the number one issue for people who are voting. I don't think that's political to say, but I mean, it is the big.
It's the number one questions we get. Like, how is that going to impact my money? Right. Yeah. I think an example is when Trump got elected the first time. Overnight, the futures were down 6% in one night. It was huge, right? And then the market ended up positive that day, right? So I think the misconception is Republicans are better for the markets than Democrats because they are more pro-business. But if you look at the last 100 years, it doesn't matter who's president, right? But what happens during election years, volatility just goes up, right? You got just a lot more up and down movement, right? So just kind of brace yourself, and we, what we try to do is we try to take the emotions out of it. We try to kind of teach clients to think long term, to invest in, you never bet against America. You invest in good companies. 50% of all profits are done by 7 companies: Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, Tesla. So you just got to own these companies, and really kind of, just mute the noise, basically.
Okay, I love that you touched on volatility, because I know you guys really specialize in technology. How do you balance the risk with the volatility of the different tech companies? What makes for a safer bet in tech versus maybe one that's a little bit riskier?
Well, it's a really good question. It's really tough to answer it because everything is good until it's not. So in other words, Apple is good, Microsoft is good. These are very, very big companies, well diversified, print money literally. But the minute things kind of go haywire or go sideways, everything gets sold off, right? That's what the misconception with markets is. Nothing is safe when things are tough, right? NVIDIA, which is one of the best companies right now, was down, I think 70 or 80% in 2022, right? So very, very good company, very, very good businesses can be down. The market is really a mechanism to weigh how people feel about something that day, right? If I am negative, if I'm thinking that the banking system is going to go under, or I'm thinking that, there is a massive recession going to happen, people are going to sell a lot of stuff. And oftentimes they sell the good stuff first because there is more liquidity there. So I think that's really a misconception. So I think a better way to answer your question is you got to diversify, right? You don't want to be the guy that when everyone else is selling stuff, you also have to sell stuff. You want to be the guy that has some cash, or guy or girl for that matter, who has some cash, so you can take advantage of the risk, because nobody knows when things are gonna go under. We can have maybe a geopolitical conflict or some stuff that can really send everything in a tailspin. So you just want to be in a position where you don't have to sell when everyone else is freaking out.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I remember at the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, there was a time we were speaking, and there was, that conflict was going on. There was a massive crypto crash. Right. There's like 3 or 4 other things going on, and I put your hands up and be like, there's like no galaxy of hope. And I remember that phrase, like galaxy of hope. Like that's a big phrase, and awesome to hear you. I think it's about 2 years later. It sounds like things are kind of stabilized, and
it always works out, man. It's weird. It always works out. Like there is this amazing chart that we show our clients to look at the last 100 years, and the chart has everything that happened the last 100 years. From the World War II to the missile crisis to assassination of Kennedy, to like the 70s when we had the massive inflation, to there is so much shit that really happened. And yet, markets seem to kind of, do well over that time. So the idea here is really to kind of keep thinking long term and really dollar cost averaging, which means just invest in no matter what's happening,
Okay. All right. Well, I want to get back a little bit into structure. I loved hearing a little bit of inside baseball of where you're at and kind of what your outlook is this year. So obviously you said before, you've got your wife, you've got your company. And how do you structure everything? Are you one of those people who, wake up at the exact same time every day, do the same meditate? Walk me through your routine as much as you have one.
I'm best between like 5 a.m. and noon. I'm an early person kind of guy. I like to wake up. I like to work out very early, meditate. Uh, Markets open at 6:30 a.m. in the West Coast, right? So you kind of like want to you don't want to show up like halfway into the game, right? So you want to kind of wake up, see what's going on, look at the news, see what's happening. So for me, waking up early, kind of having that moment for myself to really see what's going on, have my coffee, is really key, right? That just really sets me right for the day. And then after that, I'm usually in the office. There's a ton of meetings, a lot of stuff going on, maybe trading, maybe talking to clients, maybe talking to, marketing or things like that around the office. The good thing, the one thing I love about my business or about my job is I'm doing different things every day, right? I'm not showing up and basically, doing the same thing over and over. I think the fluidity of the financial markets, how things change is really nice because it allows us to really kind of try to understand what's happening, make sense of it, and so forth. And then obviously having these relationships with our clients is really key because people are always doing things, right? People are buying homes, selling businesses, buying businesses. We become an integral part of a lot of people's lives, right? So when they making these big transactions, oftentimes we're like the first people that they need to talk to, or maybe the second or third people they need to talk to, and we have to show up, So I think, and also once we help them, it's so rewarding to be able to do that. It's kind of makes the job really amazing.
That's cool. So, given how different every day is, do you have to kind of like keep a block of time like open every day? I mean, I know sometimes I find myself in back to back to backs. It doesn't sound like in your business you can even afford to be in back to back to backs. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to need you to pick up a phone, right?
Yeah. Listen, money never sleeps, right? We could literally work all the time, all the time if you need to. I think different life of your career, you work different times. I try to keep very, very control of my calendar. I schedule my lunches and keep times for trading or for different things and so forth. But yeah, I have to really control. Like I need to know what I'm doing. I need to I'm not someone who's just like, oh, fuck it, today I'm going to do this or that. I have to be really, really regimented on what I'm going to do.
So are you does that exist in your calendar? Do you have every little hour of the day somehow?
Pretty much.
No, it's the way to do it. I do that with personal stuff. Everybody sees it in my company. It's like, oh, wait, 4 p.m. on Monday, he FaceTimes with his parents. Okay.
I don't tell my parents that, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's really cool. Well, one thing I always like to kind of understand with our guests or talk through with our guests is, very regimented life. It sounds like you got it together. You're able to balance both the proactive and reactive nature of your business. Is there anywhere in your life where maybe things aren't as structured as you wish they were, where things are either a little bit more inconsistent or perhaps even chaotic?
Yeah, the weekends can definitely get they're not structured. The weekends are for fun, for hanging out with friends, for going out drinking or birthday parties, whatever is going on. I do a lot of traveling too with my wife and friends. So it's, I'm definitely, I think you got game time, which is Monday through Friday, right? And then you got play time, which is the weekend or vacation time. But I try to really kind of keep that open, I get to go out to dinners a lot. I get invited to many things. So that's always fun. I don't really look at it as work oftentimes. So that's always fun too. But I think just during the day, just when business hours basically is really a thing. But other than that, I'm a fun guy.
Yeah, I know that. I think it's a good point too, because I know in our business world, we try to be super, super structured, and I'll sometimes try and bring it a little bit too much into the personal life, and I'll get a little pushback of like, hey, can we just like have a day of like no plans?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's harder for me.
Yeah.
But I think anytime I lean into it, it's wonderful. As much as we want to, pack each day with all of the things, there's a spontaneity that is
100%. I was gonna say this exact same word, right? Like it's important to keep that little vibrancy and just like do things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hatem, thank you so much for coming on today. This was a lot of fun. You guys are doing amazing things over there, and it was great to kind of learn a little bit more about how you do it and a little bit of the outlook here for 2024.
Thank you for having me on, Austin. And yeah, man, good luck with this new venture. I'm excited for you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, buddy.
Cheers, man.